You are listening to the IFH Podcast Network. For more amazing filmmaking and screenwriting podcasts, just go to ifhpodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Filmmaking Conversations with Damian Swaby. Have you thought of upgrading your cinematography game? Would you like to have an ASC cinematographer mentor you for free? Join veteran cinematographer Suki Medenzovic, ASC, Disney, Pixar, FX Networks, Netflix, American Horror Story. As he teaches you how to create beautiful images using 3 lighting techniques he has mastered on film sets over his 30-plus years in the film industry. Each technique uses basic, low-cost lighting equipment so that anyone can achieve beautiful visuals no matter your project's budget. If you want to take your cinematography to the next level, visit filmmakingconversations.com to sign up for instant access.
Today on Filmmaking Conversations, I speak to an international filmmaker, originally from Ghana, but currently based in Ohio, with his beautiful wife and 2 children. He's been chasing his filmmaking dreams for about 15 years now as a self-taught filmmaker. He did a couple of short films to grow his craft since he started his Palmbook Studios in Ghana. He is still pursuing his filmmaking dreams with 2 short films he has currently produced called Breaking Point and LINEAGE. He is currently in production for a feature film he titled as The CLOT. I've got much more information about this filmmaker in the show notes. So after you have listened to this episode, go ahead, give him a read, and check out more on filmmakingconversations.com.
I fell in love with film when I was in senior high. I was in the drama group, and our patron, who was Zakaria Abdullahi, said he wanted to make a film from stage to film. I'm like, how can you do that? He said, I'm going to make a film, and I'm making the film with you guys. So we were about 15 or 20 actors, and he used us for his film. And that's where I got interested in filmmaking. So after school, I didn't let it go. So I always trying to read articles online about filmmaking and all that. So I started production with some friends, Nanam Perdue and Greg Davies. We started a production, and then we started building upon that. I still wanted to act. So we went to a lot of production houses to rehearse with them and build my craft. But I realized everything I was learning, I was better than the people I was meeting. And when we started our own, we had an audition, we had some people, and we have one man who was directing us. His name was Reverend Colin Blade. And one time Colin Blade didn't show up, and I stood in front of everyone and started telling them what to do, teaching them acting. After the session, they said, wow, you're good. Why don't you be the director? I said, no, nice. We already have somebody. So I can't just take it from him just like that. So let him be. So one time he didn't come early, and I took over. So I was directing, and he came and said, wow, you're good. Take over. Just do it every time. I'm not going to, I'll just be here to watch you do your thing. And I said, okay. So I started downloading books, reading them, building the craft, knowing everything. And then after about 6 years, my mom sent me money to buy a camera, and that was Canon 60D.
Nice one.
And that's that time when I realized she was going to send me the money. I started reading about the camera, knowing everything about cinematography, lighting and everything. So when I got the money to buy the camera, I told my actors, now we're ready to film something. So I did a first short film, and trust me, I took over 60 something shots for just about 3 minutes, 4 minutes short film, because I wanted to be sure. I don't want it to go back and say I didn't do it well, I have to reshoot. No, I didn't want any reshoot. So I shot a large scenes, and I had an editor, and he worked on it, and it was great. So from there, I kept learning on YouTube, reading articles, and all the time when I learned something, I try to do a short film and put that into practice. So that has been the journey. I've never been to any film school. I've never had anybody mentor me. It's just me and prayers, and I think the Holy Spirit is directing me through all this journey.
So when you were doing various productions in workshops, and they eventually said to you that you should direct, what made you feel that you were better than the people that were teaching you?
Because of what I have been learning. Because all the time I try to read about acting and know how it's really done. The methods, the Stanislavski and Meissner and all those techniques, I was learning all. But when we go for rehearsal, I didn't hear them talk about that. All the techniques, I didn't hear anybody talk about those techniques. So when I got to know all that, that was what I was teaching them. So it became something new to them. And they were like, wow, we never heard of this. So you're good.
Excellent. And luckily for you, your mother sent you a Canon 60D, a DSLR camera that I used once upon a time. I really like that series. I
still have it. Here.
Good. I'm glad I didn't have the Canon 60D. I used it a lot. I had the Canon 600D or 650D, sorry. But in America, it's called the T2i, I think, or the Rebel.
Yeah, T2i, yeah.
So they're very good cameras, in my opinion, to have. First of all, even to this day, I would suggest to people to get those and mix and match some of the lenses and see how you get on when you're learning and thinking about making films. But what exactly was your first project on the Canon 60D?
It's a short film called The Last Words, where a guy was sleeping with his girlfriend's mom, and he wanted to run away with the girlfriend because of the mother. Because he thought he couldn't get out of that relationship, but he loved the daughter, so he wanted to run away with the daughter, and that was my first short film.
What was the experience like?
It was like it's like having a lot of things in your mind and you want to put them into practice. You don't know what to come first. So it becomes like you have a lot of things in the mind because you've learned a lot for about 5 years and you want to put them into practice. So you don't know what to do. You don't know if you have to take up close up first. You don't know if you should do master shot first, because I was directing and I was handling the camera. So because at that time I didn't have any job, so all I had was the camera. So when I get some gigs like weddings and all that, I get money from that and I use them into my film productions. So I didn't have enough to get the cinematographer. So I decided to learn the camera myself. And so I'm doing the work of the cinematographer, I'm doing the work of the director at the same time. And that time I didn't have money to get mic. So I was using the camera to get my mic because I saw that as a practice. So I was trying to make sure I get the directing right, I get the cinematography right, because I didn't think about sound. Because that was my beginning stage. So I thought everything was done through the camera.
Me too. At the beginning, I didn't think about sound.
Yeah.
So you've done your first film, which is great. You learn, everyone makes mistakes in the first film, I believe. And you learn so much about the whole process. And you did it at a kind of minimal budget, I'm imagining, which I think is the best thing to do for your first short film.
Yeah, the locations were just two locations. One outside and one in the bedroom.
Outside and in the bedroom. And is this your own place where you live? You used your own bedroom, or?
At that time, it was my girlfriend's bedroom. That's where we used it.
But what inspired you to write that story? Because it's quite out there.
Yeah, at that time, I thought that was the easiest thing I can do at that time, because the whole scene started with him dressing up to meet the girlfriend and they running away. But when he got there, the girlfriend had no bags, was not prepared to leave. And he was like, what's going on? And she showed him a text message he sent the mother. And that was how I saw this. I saw this as something easy for me to shoot. Just him dressing up, gets into the place and find out the lady has seen everything he's doing. And then she breaks up the relationship and the whole thing comes down. That's the easiest thing I thought I could do at that time.
No, that makes sense. And it's a really interesting story. And, we all have ambitions, but sometimes they have to wait. So the first film, the second film, or even the third, fourth short film has to be easy to do, doesn't it? And it has to be very few locations if possible. I mean, the first feature film I made will never be shown to anyone. I had so many locations and I managed to get everything done in that way, but you can just see it's not a coherent story. Yeah. There's some issues there. And I had to switch cameras in between the film, honestly, just because of finance. Yeah. And matching
the pictures.
Yeah, it just didn't work. It didn't.
Yeah, I understand.
I thought it would, but it didn't. But your company, Palmbook Studios, has been going since 2014, am I right?
Yeah, that's when I started it. February 14, 2014, yeah.
So that is amazing to have had a company so long. Now, being a filmmaker is one thing. Being a writer, cinematographer, they're all creative things that we do. But how hard, difficult, or easy was it for you to start your own studio in 2014 and have it still going in 2022?
The passion is to build a better career for myself and to not to work when I get old. So that has been my inspiration, that I don't want to be old and still working hard to achieve my dreams. So why don't I start now and then work hard so that when I can't work again, my productions and my films can provide the money I want. So this has been my inspiration, and to have my kids not go through the pain and the hassle I went through, that's also something that keeps me going, and that has not made me stop. From 2014, I've been shooting every time. I don't know any year I didn't shoot. I'm always trying to do something every year from 2014 till date.
Excellent.
And like I told you, today I was filming the scene, and I was just done in about 1 hour ago.
Can I ask you what that scene was about?
Yeah, the scene is about this immigrant in America who needs legal documents, and she used to work with an African-American lady in a warehouse, and the lady said it was too hard for her at the warehouse, so she quit, and she's into sleeping with men, prostitution, and now this lady came from Ghana, and she was living with a Ghanaian, and the Ghanaian lady threw her away, so she came to live with the African-American friend. And the African-American friend wanted to take advantage of her by getting the white guy to propose to the African lady that the white guy can marry her for her to get her legal documents, not knowing the lady is trying to use her to use the white guy to get money from the African lady. So it's like that. So that's the scene is about the three of them talking about how much she's going to pay and how she's going to survive through the process they're going to go through before she gets her legal documents. That's what we shot today. So it was around. It's in the living room around the dining table.
Okay. So how much has things grown for you, would you say, since 2014? Because you've got that story in a living room, that scene story in a living room, people around the table. Do you have a completely different lighting setup now? And what type of camera are you using now? And what will you
now I'm using Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. And I have about
that's what I use.
Now I have about 3 lights. I have Aperture 120D Mark II, and I have one ARRI and one LED. So I'm just trying to get a lot of equipment to make lighting easy for me. But I think with the 3 I have now, I'm able to light the scene up because I have one bouncing for the ambience light, and I have one on them, and I have one being I have a window at the back of one character, and one character faces the wall, because that's how I want to tell the story, because she's at the wall right now. She doesn't know where to go. And I have the 2 of them having a background lighting for the 2 other characters, the white guy and the African-American lady. But the African lady her back is just to the wall. So she doesn't have a backlight. She's just light on her face.
Excellent. I see growth there. And in the post-production, when we get to post-production, how are things now for you?
Now I have an advanced PC that runs very well.
Nice.
I bought it about $2,000, and so it runs with 2 monitors. So it's easy to work with 4K now. I
know what you mean. That's the problem I had, even with the 650D or the 600D. I can't remember completely now. Was even my PC laptop couldn't handle it. And I was shocked.
You know, one funny thing, I in the beginning stage of my career, I had to borrow laptops from people before I could edit the film. And I had an editor at that time. He was a friend. And so when I get a laptop from somebody, and we're in the middle of editing the short film, the person will say it has taken a long time. She needs the laptop back, or he needs the laptop back. So I had to take the laptop to the person, wait for about 2 months, 3 months, and beg them again for the same laptop. And then it was crazy. Before we get the laptop, the person had deleted all the software and all the fonts. So when we had to download the whole thing and upload everything. And by the time we load in the project, everything is gone. Then we have to restart everything again. So my beginning stage was crazy when it comes to post, because I couldn't afford it until late 2016, 17, and I bought a Dell laptop that was very high for the 60D, and that was when I was able to edit easily.
I know what you mean, and I'm happy to hear that you've gone through that stage, because some people give up. I mean, you haven't given up, I haven't given up, but it can be so frustrating. So frustrating. And even points when maybe you didn't, but there were times at the early stages for me where I wanted to download the free version of DaVinci Resolve, and I didn't have to tech spec to even be able to download it, and I was so frustrated and fed up. But I thought I'm gonna get there. You know, you're gonna find ways and make these things happen. And you mentioned weddings earlier, that you would be filming some of them. Do you still use money from weddings or corporate gigs to fund your films? If not, how exactly are you funding your films?
Now I work in the warehouse, and that's where I get the money from to finance my projects. So I'm always 5 a.m. I leave the house and come back around 3, and then get back to what I shot during the weekend and edit everything throughout the week. So it's like I shoot, I edit in the week. I shoot weekends, I edit in the week. So by the time I'm done with the script, with the production, I'm done with post. I'm almost done with post. So I just need a week to finish up and then start scoring. Then, like LINEAGE, I had to send the audio to somebody in Ghana for him to edit the dialogue audio, and so that we can have quality audio, because I learned about that on YouTube, that the audio has to be perfect.
It does.
And so when I learned about that, I said, no, I need to do this. So after that, I exported the dialogue in waveform, and I sent it to him in Ghana, and then he edited, made it sound so good, and then he sent it back, and I put it under the film, and I said, I now see growth. We're still going.
Yeah, huge growth. When you have good audio, it makes such a difference when you haven't had it before. I really remember that. I had one film I done, the production company were a bit slapdash that I was working with, and throughout the film in the bar, the fridges were on. So all the dialogue had the
I know how frustrating that is.
And you know, and back then we didn't really have the Audition wasn't as available as it is now with certain plugins, and so for all intents and purposes the film was ruined.
You know, one funny thing we were doing back then in Ghana, it was like we use audio that software you mentioned, the software Audition. To edit the dialogue, and then after that it sounded like they were in the bathroom. And then we don't know what to do. We just leave it like that, because I had a premiere. The film I did that through that film I met my wife. It's called From Somewhere with Love. It's called From Somewhere with Love. I had a big premiere in Ghana, and it was through that film I met my wife. So we did a premiere, and at the premiere people had to close their ears because some scenes were so loud and some scenes were not audible for them to hear. So it was like up and down, and it was so frustrating. But after the film, they all got up and gave me standing ovation.
Nice one.
And I said, wow, that means when we do a great job, these people will love it. So I need to grow. So audio issues are crazy. Audio issues are so crazy, man.
And what's your relationship with the guy who edits your audio? Because if he's in Ghana and you're in Ohio, am I right by saying?
Yeah, I'm in Ohio.
Yeah. So there's quite a big gap between you. Why are you using the audio guy in Ghana?
So the reason why I'm using the audio guy in Ghana is I I don't want to. I just always want to work with my people who can understand me, people who have seen me hustle all these years, because those people will put the same energy I have for my film on my film, because they know this guy's trying to do something. He's been doing it for a long time. So I just want to prove a point to a standard where people can believe I have a team.
Yeah.
Because I believe in the team, but not just any team. I believe in people who understand the goal and knows where you're going and they want to go with you, not people who want to come in and tell you, no, you don't have to go this side. Work with me to my side.
I see. And a team is important. This is such a collaborative art form. If you haven't got a team, you'll slowly, in my opinion, or quickly, I should say, find out that this is a very, very hard thing to do. if you're a one-man band.
I'm still one-man band. I'm still doing a one-man band when it comes to production. I don't have any cinematographer. I don't have any sound guy. I have all the sound equipment. I'm using NTG4. Nice. And I have a mobile blimp, and I have a stand, and I have Tascam. Nice. So that's what I use for my sound, and I make sure it's not in the frame. So I put it so close that it will not be in the frame. That's what I do, and then my production takes time. It takes time, so I always try to create some jokes on set for people to laugh, so that they don't pay attention to the time I'm taking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. But what's the filmmaking scene like in Ohio?
Oh, okay. In Ohio, I've seen a couple of filmmakers, and I've been close with some of them. Like this one filmmaker who premiered his film last Saturday. His name is Marshall, and Venat. I've met Venat. I think these are the two filmmakers I've really met physically, but some of them I don't remember their names offhand right now.
So don't you think it would be possible to take some of the pressure off yourself and say, hey, can one of you guys, you're filmmakers too, you may not be an expert in sound, but is it possible for you to hold the boom? Is it possible for you to kind of hide lav mics on actors?
Yeah, that's something I'm thinking about, but you know, you always have to prove a point before somebody get interested in what you do.
True. Yeah. And
I've been here for like 2 years, so I haven't proven a point to the extent where I can invite somebody to come and do something for me. And what I don't like is disappointment when I need something to be done, and somebody's like, I can't get time for you today. I have to do this. I'm sorry, I can't help today. That's what keeps me going, because if I had always been trusting people and believing that people will come and help me, I wouldn't have gotten here, because I can't stand disappointment.
Yes, there are some people that unfortunately will let us down. A filmmaking friend of mine, he was making his film last Saturday, and one of the actors, the morning of the shoot, said they were coming, and in the afternoon they said they couldn't come.
That's what I don't like.
Yeah.
Because I think about everything mentally for a whole month or a whole week before I shoot.
Oh, yes.
So if something stops, I don't know how to go again. I have to rethink.
Yeah.
And I don't want to work because I'm just one person. I'm thinking about directing. I'm thinking about cinematography. I'm thinking about how the light looks. So if you disappoint me, it becomes another burden to add to what I'm going through.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been doing this all alone for a long time.
That's understandable. The disappointment really does hurt. It really does. And it can sometimes make people stop or hold them back in really, really bad ways. But you are in Ohio now, and you have your sound editor in Ghana, and you've premiered films in Ghana, and you've done the majority of your work in Ghana. So do you see yourself as an international filmmaker, or are you now like a domestic US filmmaker who's got attachments to Ghana?
I would still say I'm a Ghanaian filmmaker based in Ohio.
Okay.
Because looking at what's going on in America and working with some independent filmmakers here. Last month I was with an independent filmmaker in Kentucky, and I was the cinematographer for her film.
Oh, nice.
And so looking at how they do things here and how most of the productions in Ghana is, I think I want to learn and then go back to Ghana and help a lot of filmmakers back there. So I would say, yes, I'm an international filmmaker, but still I have the Ghana thing in me because I cannot lose my identity.
Understandable.
That's something I hold on to, because if you don't know where you are from, if you don't have any background, then you are nobody.
Okay, so what are the main differences? Like, what? Because I have no idea. And maybe some others don't, maybe some do. But what are the differences between Ghana and Ohio when it comes to filmmaking?
I think back in Ghana we have like I've seen independent filmmakers here in Ohio, but I talked to Cam about how he finances film, and it's like friends help him get the money to shoot the film. But in Ghana, we don't have a lot of companies where filmmakers can go and work in the week and shoot on weekends.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find money to do what you really want to do in Ghana. But looking at here in Ohio, people work. So when you ask them for money, about 3 or 5 friends can help you get the money to make a short film or maybe a feature. But it's not like that in Ghana. So people still lack a lot of things, and it makes it hard to make a better film. But for most people, but some people are really trying putting their films out there. But the majority of people are still in wanting for money, for budgets to really make what they really want to make. But it's hard. So I would say Ghana, it's hard because there are no companies to help people work and get money and support their projects. But here, people get companies where they work in a warehouse or work their day jobs. So they already have something for their projects, but it's not like that in Ghana.
I understand. I see. I've got one acting friend. I've got an acting friend called Kwaku, and he's from Ghana, and he pretty much said what you've just said about the difficulties of making stuff back home where he's from. He hasn't gone to America. He's back based in London.
Oh, okay.
Giving acting a go here again because he went to RADA, and he's an actor basically more than, say, a filmmaker. If you were to go back, what would be the main things you would teach people? Because you mentioned you would teach people about filmmaking in Ghana. What have you learned that you think would be fundamental to people in Ghana?
One thing, the first thing will be the cinematographers to really tell them how you can use little to make something big, and how to understand really the craft of cinematography, and then tell them what it means to not light, because most of our films I've seen, rooms are washed out scenes, like they have lights turned on like that with no motivation and anything. They just put on the lights. So I think people need to know why you turn on lights in film. It's not like you're in the room, then you turn on the film. No, film is different. It's a craft. You don't just do it. You have to know why you're doing it. Because everything in the world, even in our real life, we don't do things just for doing sake. We do things because that's motivation.
Yeah.
And sometimes when somebody's sad, how they look in their room is different from when they're happy, how the room looks like. These are the things that I think some cinematographers in Ghana needs to hear to help them build their craft and tell them how to even do it well. And they'll go to actors. Actors too needs to understand why they do what they do. Because some films you watch and it looks like they are just reading the scripts. There's no emotion, there's no motivation. And when you talk to most of them, it's like directors just give them the script 2 days to production. So they don't get the time to prepare and to transform into characters before they go on set to shoot. So it's like a lot of people in the industry needs to hear how things are done here and how they should do things back home. Even I've not worked with any major studio here in Ohio, but the independent filmmakers I've worked with, I've seen certain things. Most actors are in acting clubs. They go on rehearsals every week, and so they really know what they're doing. So when you tell them when you give them a script, the questions they ask you will tell you this person knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But like I've shot some scenes in Ghana, you send them scripts and they don't ask any question. They just want to play it without knowing the director's inspiration, why the character's like this or like that. They just jump into the scene and just want to act. But when you give somebody a script here in Ohio, they ask questions. They want to know the motivation. They want to know who the character really is. So here, I have to write character notes for every character in my film. I write it and send them for them to read, and then they come back with questions. But back home, people don't know what I'm talking about. Most people don't know what I'm talking about. But I think these are the things I want to go back home and tell people.
That's amazing. You want to basically kind of go back home and raise certain standards in certain ways. So
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Even audition, people just go audition without having headshots. We've done a couple of auditions in Ghana where I was in the seat of the judges, and you ask somebody about headshots, they don't really know what it means and how they should even take those pictures. So these are some of the things I think most upcoming actors or the young actors really need to know. They just have to know that it's a craft. You don't just come and do it because you have the talent or because your friends told you know how to act. Because acting is a business and filmmaking is a business. Somebody's investing money into a film, and you don't just come and just mess it up. You just need to also come with your pro game and then meet the standard of the filmmaker. You don't just come and act. These are the things I want to tell people.
Brilliant. I'm glad you're going to do that because it really, really is important. Headshots, I've recently put out a casting myself, and some of the headshots on, I think it's Backstage that I've received, I've just thought, what am I going to do with that? I can barely see your face. or some, not in a horrible way, some models, they're showing half their body in the headshot, and I don't need to see that. I need to see a headshot.
Yes.
Because some people really don't get it across the world. Not just in Ghana. But we all know that New York is a film city, and we know that obviously Hollywood and everything like that. So why did you choose Ohio?
I choose Ohio because my wife has been here for about 11 years now. Okay. And she was here with my kids, so I had to join them. And it's marriage, so I didn't know why I should stay far from her. So I had to come and be with them, and that's why I'm here. But we're trying to relocate to Atlanta some time back. But we're still planning on that because we don't want to because when it comes to some cities here, they have to pay. You have to pay before you film in those cities. Yeah. So I'm taking that into consideration. But here in Ohio, I shoot. I don't know about paying anything, but I hear people shoot. They don't pay anything. They just go and shoot. So I have to consider all those things because when you go somewhere, you have to go through all the protocols. It's a long thing.
A lot of red tape.
Yes. I'm taking that into consideration, and because I'm new here, and so I have to really understand how things are done in Ohio and then build upon it.
No, that makes complete sense. And I'm very happy that you made the choice to join your family because, hey, man, that's something you've got to do.
Yeah.
Got to do it. But it's been great speaking to you. Our time is coming to an end. And Where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram. I am at... The Instagram account is at Daakyehene Ababio. Daakyehene is spelled DAAKYEHENE _ABABIO.
Brilliant.
And on Facebook, no underscore. It's just Daakyehene Ababio.
Excellent. And you're on YouTube as well, aren't you?
On YouTube, it's Palmbook Studios.
Great. Well, I'm going to be constantly checking your YouTube channel. We're already friends on Instagram because I can't wait to see what's coming out next from you.
If you liked this podcast, share it with friends. Leave a comment in the comment section and hit the subscribe button.